Okay, now we're getting into Israel and Hamas once a fucking again. I'm gonna give you guys the main gist of this. Our in what we should do specifically is simple, which is we shouldn't have too much involvement in this war outside of them stopping fighting each other. But if anyone doesn't know, they have like I think it was either 3 or 4 part peace plan. But Hamas returned all the living hostages, which was good on their part. They were also supposed to return all the dead bodies, which they didn't. Then they also don't want to disarm, and that's a big part. Hamas needs to disarm. And the whole thing about this war specifically is that like you can criticize Israel, you cannot like the way they do things. But you also have to look at Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization purposefully putting their civilians as meat shields, purposefully hiding tunnels under them. And I remember reading something that like the majority of the people in like in that area like they're fucking like under the age of 25. Like like literally all the old people are dead, which was surprising. But the whole thing about it is this government is executing people that go against them. This government is running things, running terrorists, teaching them all these things when they grow up and propping them up just to throw them out there and fucking die in war. And here's what I think, which is the Palestinians, what they need the most, first and foremost, I would say for Israel would be they need to build a giant wall, just like Egypt has, to keep the Palestinians out. That's the first thing, just so they don't have to deal with that bullshit ever again. Then the second thing that Palestine needs is to disarm Hamas. They need a government and preferably Muslim led. By by all the stuff, it's like a mixture of multiple Muslim countries, but the UAE, Iran, Jordan, these guys should be the ones like trying to negotiate stuff and trying to fix this piece of shit. But at the same time, they don't want to actively let the Palestinians in any of their countries. And the second thing that needs to be done is once that's done, once they have a government more interested in building infrastructure and actually helping their civilians, then they could finally put this bullshit to an end. Finally. But Hamas has to disarm, they have to leave the area. Palestinians are not Hamas. All Hamas are potentially, pretty much all Hamas are Palestinians, but not all Palestinians are Hamas. That's basically what I'm saying. But Hamas needs to fucking leave the area. They've obviously destroyed that country, and they've been doing everything in their power to make sure that everyone there dies. It's sad, it's tragic, and I feel bad for all the innocent people there. But let's get into this.
The lies of the anti Israel protesters now have really been exposed. Lies pushed also by the corrupt United Nations that Israel was deliberately
Yeah, United Nations is a piece of shit. I don't know why we're still a part of this piece of trash organization.
starving even Gazan children to death and had committed genocide in Gaza, wiping out a whole people. Well, now that Donald Trump last month brokered a peace deal, it's even clearer that these were lies. If Israel wanted a genocide, why has it pulled back from half of Gaza and agreed to this ceasefire?
Oh, here's the thing too about this, which is a lot of people a lot of people are very invested in this, but I remember seeing clips where the people in Gaza were happy and the people in Israel were happy. And the thing is, this is not people in Palestine or people in Israel are not your meat shield as a way to protect your ideology. They're not meat shields to protect yourselves from criticism where like Hassan Piker is a big example. Like, oh, I chalk my dog, I advocate for landlords dying even though my mom's a landlord, like, all that bullshit that he does. But whenever there's a little bit of criticism, he goes like, oh, but Israel. Because like people like that, I hate the most. Which is they deflect criticism by using other people's suffering as a way to deflect from things that they are doing wrong. And those people I hate the most. You shouldn't be using Israel or Gazans as a meat shield for your values. No matter who you are, it's just disgusting.
And if it had caused the famine, where are the living skeletons? Why do Gazans instead look well fed, flocking to the Hamada ice creams and
Damn.
cakes outlet in this video posted overnight?
I know why. The reason these people, no, they're not well fed. The reason is Americans are fat, so they see no fat fuckers there, so then they think they're starving, even though they're the average weight of an American in the 1960s. That's the problem. It's just Americans are fat. That's why they look starving to us. That's why.
Why were so many sleek Gazan men ordering shawarma at the Al Sabal
Damn.
Shafut Al Azli restaurant in Gaza City
Ooh.
this week? And why was the Thailandi restaurant in Gaza City advertising its
Ooh.
lamb 2 days ago and promoting
Nice.
its succulent roast chickens?
Ooh.
And I've shown before similar videos before the ceasefire as well. But talking about Trump's peace deal, I think it was great because he got the last hostages freed and got a ceasefire. And I thought that, in fact, was all that would be achieved.
Wait, not only that, not only did he get all the hostages free, but he got the other countries to basically make a pact where if anything happens to Gaza, they're not there to rescue them. They're not there to save them. They're not there to do anything. That also applies pressure to Hamas. The thing is, Hamas has to fucking leave. The Palestinians need to get rid of Hamas. Fucking dictators running everything. They need to be gotten rid of. What the Palestinians need the most is first Israel building a giant wall to keep them out and never let them in. Number 1. Number 2, Egypt making sure they never go into Egypt. And then number 3, a government that is built on trying to fix everything for Palestinians that are currently living there. That's what they need. And they need to take it as what it is. We're a small country in between two bigger, stronger, scarier countries, and we're just gonna be peaceful, mind our own business, and we'll do fine. That's what it should be.
But as I predicted, the rest of it, Trump's plan to disarm Hamas terrorists, for instance, that is failing. Hamas refuses to give
Oh
up their
God.
weapons, and it's instead been using them during the
Yep.
ceasefire to murder their opponents in Gaza and tighten their control.
Yep.
Joining me to discuss how things are going in Gaza and also in the other war in Ukraine is our regular commentator, General Jack Keane, a former Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Army and 4-star general, and now chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. General Keane, it's been some time since I last talked to you. Good.
Oh, thank fucking God. Okay. I'm glad I see only American stuff here. Thank God. But I'm gonna say this. There's a few politicians in America. What I hate seeing is that, like, I forgot the guy's name, but the guy in the wheelchair in Texas, there was a picture where he had 7 flags of Israel and only 1 American flag. I get pissed off when politicians do that because it's like, you're supposed to be American. You're America first. If you like Israel, that's fine. But you're America first. Never fucking forget that. And you see, America, not America, but like he got these 2 things.
to see you again. So I'm actually after an update on these wars. First to Gaza. What is happening to the peace there?
As we predicted, the challenge in front of us is Hamas has no intention to disarm
Yep.
or to give up governance. And what is taking place right now, the United States is going before the UN Security Council to make a proposal to establish officially an international stabilization force. And then the issue is disarming Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
And will that one be accepted as a mission to the parties? And do they have the resolve to do it? My informal discussion is
Damn.
there's not a country out there that wants to take on disarming Hamas. If they don't disarm Hamas, what's going to happen then? Well, I think we had a sign of that when the peace deal was announced in the White House with Prime Minister Netanyahu standing next to President Trump. President Trump made an announcement that if Hamas did not disarm and give up governance, then he would support Israel and the IDF going back in to finish Hamas once and for all. The challenge with that is
I fully agree. The thing is, we're not sending American troops, thank God, this fucking time. Tired of seeing Americans die for other people's wars. This is Israel and Hamas's war, so should remain only between them.
all the people are back in Gaza City where Hamas is. So we have a lot of work in front of us, Andrew, but I still think we have some of this war left to go before Hamas is finished.
So we're back to where square one, that the only country in the world that seems to have the appetite and the ability to disarm Hamas is Israel. To Ukraine, General, Russia is boasting now that it has virtually captured the critical city of Prokofsk in eastern Ukraine. It's reportedly sent a huge army, 1,000 men to grab it. Now, if the city does fall, just look at the map. I mean, you can see that Russia can then cut off a big chunk of the Donbass that it's trying to capture and the Ukrainian soldiers in it, which is probably why Ukraine's president was in the city, I think, yesterday to encourage the troops. What is the state of this battlefield?
Well, it's not as Russia describes it. They've tried, this is almost 2 years in the making to take Prokofsk. They're suffering on average over 1,000 casualties a day. They are not winning this war.
Oh, here's also one thing about Russia, which I said this in another video, but I just want to say it again, which is Russia is one of those places that it doesn't matter how many of their soldiers die. It's basically the Stalin method. It doesn't matter how many of your guys get sent to the meat grinder because they don't care. So you gotta take that into account too, which is it doesn't matter how many lives are lost, they're willing to fight this to the very end. And I think the reason is simple. It's because like after all these sanctions to Russia, it's basically Russia's a failing economy, everything's going to shit. And he can't just stop the war because not only will he be admitting defeat, but Russia's going to even more shit. So he's investing everything into this, no matter how many people die, and it's tragic. It's tragic to any of the Russian men that have to be forced to go through this bullshit.
And there is no way that Russia can take the entire Donbass region. The Institute for the Study of War thinks it'd take them 3 to 4 years. The problem we have is Russia creates such a false narrative. The media picks it up as its gospel. We got people running around the United States, and some of them actually, every once in a while, are able to provide advice to President Trump on these things, on these false narratives. One, the justification for the war, completely false, that Eastern Ukraine and NATO is encroaching on Russia. That's an absurdity. All those countries used to be a part of the Soviet Union. They want no part of Russia, and they want to be a part of NATO to protect them from Russia, not to invade it. And that's narrative number one. Narrative number two is Russia's winning the war. And that's just not true. Ukraine doesn't have the capability to drive them out right now, but Russia is not going to take this entire Donbass region anytime soon. And they have taken, as you indicated, staggering losses in attempting to do this. And the so-called taking of Pokrovsk is infantry small squads that have infiltrated certain parts of it. So even that is a bit of a false narrative. Putin believes that he's received no significant pressure in his mind to stop the war. And that's why he won't go to a ceasefire, because he believes in his mind he can likely continue this for another year or two, admittedly taking significant losses. He won't make a lot of progress, but what he believes he'll do is he'll wear down President Trump, wear down the United States, and do the same with the Europeans. And by escalating the war on the Ukrainian people, Andrew, he thinks that pressure that comes from killing women and children and other people who are not involved in the war will put pressure on Zelensky to make concessions. We have to give Ukraine all the offensive weapons that we have to provide them the capability to take out significant deep targets that are really where the killer drones are coming from, the manufacturing center, and the bombers that are delivering the glide bombs and the cruise missiles that are killing so many of the Ukrainian people. So the war is going to continue the way it is as of right now. And hopefully the European leaderships have demonstrated their steadfastness to stick with it. President Trump is doing the same, in my judgment. And we're going to see what happens over time. Putin will likely wave a flag and say, I'd like to go back to the negotiating table. I don't think Trump is going to put up with it unless he knows he already gets a commitment out of him before the negotiations for a ceasefire.
Well, I've got to thank you, General, because I know how busy you've been behind the scenes to try to get the president on the right track here. You're being diplomatic about it, but I really appreciate it. And I can see he's essentially done a 180-degree turn from attacking Ukraine and demanding its surrender to giving it intelligence for these long-range strikes on oil facilities in Russia that have been so damaging. He hasn't given the tomahawks yet, but one hopes that decision is not that far in the future. General Keane, thank you so much for your time.
Good talking to you, Andrew, and good seeing you again. Thank you.
Hey, man. It's
The lies of the...
But yeah, that was it. I'm glad that Sky News is covering this bullshit, because American media, we ain't covering shit outside. Like, we almost never cover anything outside like this, which is the only downside. But yeah.